monster in you.
Greetings, and welcome back to another episode of It's Always Mad in Hollywood. I'm your host, Patty, joined by my two co-hosts. Please introduce yourselves.
Hello, I am Baron von Lugia, and it is quite a frightful night for us to be talking about the horrors that lurk within the castles.
And oh geez, I'm a red drum arts.
Yes, we're getting in the Halloween spirit today with this one.
But before we talk about the undead, we're gonna talk about the actual dead. Oh, that was a horrible transition. Diane Keaton passed away. Legendary actress. She's probably best known for Annie Hall, which was actually written about her. Her name is actually Diane Keaton Hall, so Annie Hall, and then Alvy Allen, Woody Allen. So yeah. But she's also known as playing Kay Adams or Michael Corleone's wife in the Godfather movies. Bunch of legendary films. Very prolific actress. I loved her in Manhattan Murder Mystery. She also was in the historical epic Reds and a bunch of other things. Looking for Mr. Goodbar. Rest in peace, Diane Keaton. We've talked about her before, and I'm sure we'll talk about her again. In other news, Ace Frehley of Kiss fame passed away. He, I guess, had the persona of the Spaceman or Space Ace. And yeah, he was a founding member of the rock band Kiss, the original lead guitarist, and was an occasional backup vocalist. So rest in peace. In other music news, D'Angelo passed away, who is widely regarded as a pioneer of the neo soul movement. He is actually one of the most influential R&B artists of all time. Pretty legendary musician. He's probably best known for his album Voodoo from 2000. Super influential. A lot of rappers and whatnot have been paying tribute to him. His third and final album, Black Messiah, in 2014, was cited as a big influence on To Pimp a Butterfly. I know Tyler Creator gave a pretty moving tribute to D'Angelo. So yeah, rest in peace. He passed away during production of his fourth album, so who knows if that's going to come out posthumously. But let's hop right into the movie, I guess.
Get this Mad Monster Party started?
Mad Monster Party?
Yes.
Question mark.
Yes, Mad Monster Party? Because that's the official title. There's a question mark at the end for some reason, I don't know why. But regardless, Mad Monster Party was directed by Jules Bass through his company Rankin Bass. We all know Rankin Bass, right? I mean, even if you don't know the name, you probably are familiar with like Frosty the Snowman, Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, Santa Claus is Coming to Town. That kind of like janky claymation style. We've all seen a Rankin Bass special, right?
Oh, definitely.
I watched Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer every year. I think I saw Santa Claus is Coming to Town like once or twice when I was a kid.
I've seen those countless times as a kid, as well as A Year Without a Santa Claus.
According to my research, they have like a whole empire of these specials. I thought it was just a handful. No, there's like dozens. But you, Red, what have you seen from Rankin Bass?
I feel like I've seen all the classics, Frosty, Rudolph. I've seen bits and pieces of other ones, like the Heat Miser shit.
I've seen Nestor the Long-Eared Christmas Donkey.
No, what the fuck?
I have no idea. That's one of their Christmas specials that
I've only seen their biggest one.
Well, anyway, regardless, audience, you probably recognize at least a few of those. They're all through Rankin Bass. And Mad Monster Party comes into the picture a little bit after Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer premiered in 1964, because that was an immediate success, and it actually caught the attention of Hollywood, and Hollywood decided, hey, Rankin Bass, we're going to offer you a 3-picture deal, and they made 3 movies. Mad Monster Party was the third and final of the batch. Mad Monster Party, the idea for it came from the mid to late 1960s having a bit of a resurgence in classic movie monsters, as well as more campy adaptations of stuff like The Addams Family and The Munsters on TV. And it was written by Harvey Kurtzman, the creator of Mad Magazine, hence why it's called Mad Monster Party. And he's not the only Mad alumni on here, because Jack Davis, an illustrator for the magazine, also did the character designs. Some fun facts is that in order to avoid paying royalties, some of the monsters in this movie aren't referred to by their official names. The characters of Dracula, the Invisible Man, and Jekyll and Hyde were all public domain at the time, so they're referenced by their real names. But Frankenstein is not called Frankenstein, he's called Fang. The Bride of Frankenstein is called the Monster's Mate. King Kong is just called It, and Quasimodo is called the Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Here's a
There
question
are-
I have.
Yeah?
Why the fuck is Jimmy Stewart in the movie?
He's not.
I know he's not in the movie, like technically, but like that character's just a Jimmy Stewart
No,
parody.
yeah, absolutely. That's supposed to be a Jimmy Stewart impression. I don't have an answer for why it's a Jimmy Stewart impression, but I do have, actually, my next fun fact is about the actors, because there are a total of 4 actors in this movie. There's Boris Karloff as Dr. Frankenstein, which is a nod to the fact that he rose to stardom playing the monster of Frankenstein in the 30s. It's also one of his very last film roles. Gail Garnett as Francesca, Phyllis Diller as the monster's mate, and Alan Swift as everyone else.
I was shocked about that. I didn't realize he'd be like literally every other character.
Yeah, he's kind of crazy.
Like, if you told me, like, without going in, that he was Dracula, he was Felix, he was everybody else, I'd be like, really?
And it's funny too, because everyone else just has the one role tied to them, and then this guy just has literally every character left over. Like, every
Apparently-
single one, even the ones with lesser significance, like the sailors.
Like, I guess it kind of makes sense, if you only have, like, a character in a scene, or, like, one scene, like, why pay, like, someone else when it could be one person who's doing a more significant role? So the film was released in the spring of 1967, the perfect time to release a monster movie. And in terms of its release, I really don't know. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, I can't find any records of its budget, its box office total, what the reviews were. I mean, it seemed to have reviewed decently, but, like, I cannot find anything. Granted, it's, like, an over 50-year-old movie that not a lot of people know about, so, all right. There was a spiritual sequel to the film made for television called Mad, Mad, Mad Monster Party in 1972.
Why 3 Mads and not 2?
I don't know, maybe they got 3 Mad alumni on this one, probably not. And my final fun fact is that, while it's never been directly stated, Tim Burton has said that Rankin Bass was a big stop-motion influence on him. So I think it's safe to say that this movie had some sort of influence on The Nightmare Before Christmas. So what exactly is this Mad Monster Party about? Well, let's get into that. So, it's about Dr. Frankenstein in his older years, and after achieving the great success of creating life, he decides to do the next logical thing. Create something that destroys life, and he makes what is essentially a nuclear explosion in a vial. And after that, he's like, well, I've done all I can do. I'm gonna retire. So he calls a bunch of monsters over to his castle to announce both his retirement and to name his nephew Felix as his successor.
Needless to say, that doesn't go well with them, because some of them feel like they deserve to be the successor since they're such good friends with Frankenstein.
And the hijinks ensue.
I have a question actually. How familiar are you guys with Harvey Kurtzman's work?
I'd have to
I mean,
look.
I read Mad Magazine, or at least I did, but I don't know how far back a lot of the older strips I have go, so...
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest. I was shocked to find out this was written by Harvey Kurtzman because this didn't really feel that much like him at all. And honestly, Harvey Kurtzman's like body work is pretty eclectic because he's most known for Mad, but he himself has made a lot of horror comics himself. EC was so this big company that kind of like played around with other
Tales
stuff.
from the Crypt?
I don't remember if he did, but that sounds that would fit honestly because his horror comics kind of had that vibe, yeah. And he also made a lot of war comics. So yeah, I guess this was kind of like surprising to me just because like this feels much more classic Rankin Bass than like it definitely feels like I assumed it was just written by this usual Rankin Bass staff because this does not feel like Mad Magazine at all to me, barring I guess just the random Jimmy Stewart parody, just because like I feel like Mad would put like random parodies in their stuff.
There's
That's
a
really
few
it.
visual gags that do kind of feel like something that would be in the background of a Mad strip. But yeah, writing-wise, I wasn't really getting a whole lot of Mad vibes, at least from what I've read.
No, because Mad is
I'd say maybe
usually
the
more
design
crude with
wise.
its humor.
At least like Mad Magazine is, a lot more adult-oriented, or at least like teenager at the most.
And this one feels
Whereas
like
th-
it's
whereas
more
this is-
general audience. I mean,
Yeah,
aside
like-
from a few jokes, like everything with Yetch, like he's pervy for Francesca, and that can kind of reach uncomfortable levels, but for the time, I
There's
guess
also-
it was seen as comedic.
There's also a cat fight in this movie. Wasn't expecting that in my 1967 stop-motion movie from the creators of Rudolph.
Also probably considered okay for general audiences at the time.
Anyway, aside from the Mad stuff, what do we think of this movie?
It was okay.
It was fine.
As in, yeah, it was cute. It's like
Honestly,
I
yeah.
feel like the ideal like setting to watch this would be like when you're at a Halloween party and you put on like Scary Godmother in the background, like this could be one of those like movies. It's good for airing on Cartoon Network after Scary Godmother that you kind of play in the background. But I feel like I would have gotten a lot more out of this if I saw it as a kid. It's
Yeah,
that's
same. This is my first time, and I'm like a 20-something-year-old.
There's a charm.
Yeah.
Having been someone who's seen like Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeers and some of the other Christmas classics like a dozen times, and then jumping straight into what's essentially the horror take on this sort of style, it was pretty interesting. They were able to do a lot of cool things with the effects and the character models. That
yeah,
you
I'd
don't
say
really
I like
get.
how it's directed.
Yeah.
I like how it's directed.
There was a lot of novelty to seeing like the Invisible Man portrayed in stop motion. Like, how the heck do you do that? They found a way, and it's pretty charming.
I like the music. What'd you guys think of the music?
Music was pretty good.
I'm gonna be completely honest. I didn't really feel much towards the music, with the exception of one song, which is the goofy one that Dr. Frankenstein sings to Felix.
What do you mean you didn't like the one that was played by the Skeleton Beatles?
I mean, it was fine. Like, I understood its purpose, but honestly, none of them stuck in my head except for that one.
Earlier you mentioned how like Rankin Bass clearly was like an influence on The Nightmare Before Christmas. You know what this kind of reminded me of? Hotel Transylvania.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Well, Dracula does steal the show.
But also like you mentioned the Invisible Man earlier, and the Invisible Man like in the robe and sunglasses, like that feels very like Hotel Transylvania, doesn't it? Like I feel like Gendy probably saw that and was like, yeah, let's write the Invisible Man as like this sort of dude.
So overall, I did find this. It did have a charm to it. I will say, I think my biggest issue or criticism is that while again this is a Rankin Bass production, it kind of feels like it was meant to be a TV special first and then stretched out to a feature film. Because I'll be honest, the first half of this movie, I wasn't really into it. I felt like
There
it
was so much
very
padding.
meandering. Yeah. But like I felt like once like the monsters figured out the real situation of what was going on and where Felix places in, but it picked up. Like,
So you're
I don't
saying
think it
when
ever
there was an
became anything
actual
great.
conflict, it started getting interesting.
Yeah, but like the first half of this movie was like such a nothing burger.
I still don't get why Jimmy Stewart's the main character. What did that add?
Jimmy Stewart is kind of known as like the everyman, so he was the one.
Yeah,
normal
but
one.
like I don't know.
I think they wanted to have a very normal person in the center of this monster conflict be the main character because that's supposed to be where the comedy comes from, and how he just narrowly avoids dying every time without being aware that monsters are trying to kill him.
I mean, I guess that makes sense, but I don't know. I feel like you'd think
guess.
that. I mean,
I guess, but to go back to what I was
it makes
saying,
sense, but I don't know. I feel like you would want to do something, at least with the archetype, but I don't know.
I mean,
Also, at that point, Jimmy Stewart was like more associated with Hitchcock than his folksy stuff. But yeah, whatever.
but to go back to what I was saying, this is a 90-minute movie. I feel like there's a really charming like 45-minute special. Like if you cut it in half and like trim it around a bit in some areas, I think this could be like a really good Halloween special.
I'd agree.
It's okay. It's an okay feature film.
I do think this film got a little bit weird by the end when Jimmy Stewart, I forgot his name. No, his name's Felix. Fuck it, Jimmy
Felix.
Stewart. When Jimmy Stewart and Francesca started like having a relationship because he saved her from drowning, and now they're basically established boyfriend and girlfriend. And the monsters basically take her away from him, and he's like, "Oh no, they stole my girlfriend. I better kill myself." Like, what? Where did that come from? Like, what?
I don't know, but if we're talking the ending, can we talk the very end of this movie for a second?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so I will give this movie credit. Most of the characters die in the end. Like, again, Rankin Bass special from the people of Rudolph. Most of these characters, yeah, they're dead now. But the ones who remain alive are Felix and Francesca, and it's revealed they're robots. And that's how the movie ends. No further establishment. They're just on a boat in the middle of the ocean. They're both robots now. The end. 10 out of 10. Best ending.
I think there was some implications for Francesca throughout the film. Because why would a completely normal person be the secretary of a mad scientist?
Because it's funny. That's why. It's like a kind of joke you'd see in The Simpsons, where like it was like, Francesca, please schedule my ghoulish appointment. I was like, you fucking.
But for Felix, it feels a bit weird because Frankenstein himself mentions the family tree that Felix allegedly comes from. Unless he was just straight up lying. I mean, that could be possible. Maybe he just wants to hide the fact that his nephew was a robot.
No, I'm not saying the robot thing makes sense. I think it makes sense for Francesca to just be a regular woman because that's funny. Like the fact that it's a robot, I think that ruins the joke. Honestly, like I don't know.
Like, yeah, it's a pretty light
There's
movie,
not
but
there's not
like
much to say. Let's be honest. There's
like
just not a ton
it's a
to say
pretty
here.
light movie, but like you can clearly see it's a labor of love at the same time.
Yeah, it's cute,
It definitely
and
did go
I
on to live
guess
along,
that's my
though.
opinion. It's cute. Like that's
I didn't really enjoy a lot of the scenes with Yetch as the focus, because he's supposed to be like attracted to Francesca, and he's always trying to like get to her, and she's like, "No,
Yeah,
piss off,
no.
zombie."
Not only
But
that,
he
but
doesn't
he
really
also
serve a
had
purpose, like in the grand scheme
not
of
only that, but
things.
he was also in like one of the longest like nothing scenes where he's just in the kitchen
Oh
asking the chef
yeah.
what he's doing. Like that's a scene you can definitely cut out.
I mean, it's cool what they were able to do with the octopus soup, but at the same time, what was the point? Did you guys have a favorite
um
character out of the main cast?
Um, I really liked the Dr. Frankenstein, but that's mainly due to his voice.
The voice sells
Like
it.
Boris Karloff, like I'll be honest, I haven't seen much of his stuff other than The Grinch, but like I love him in The Grinch. He has such a great voice, and like I love him here.
I really like Dracula
yeah.
in this film. Well, for one, he's the monster that gets the most attention. But I love his mannerisms, and I love his chemistry with most of the other monsters, where he's like kind of neutral towards some of them. And then when he sees Werewolf, he's like, "That's my boy."
I don't know what my favorite character is. I guess Frankenstein too. Yeah, just Boris Karloff.
And
I think
again,
I'm
like
maybe
I
a
like
little bit more
I
familiar with him than you guys, so I don't know. But yeah, it
and
was
again
cute.
I like how at the beginning of the movie he's like, I've created life, I must create destruction. All right, I did that. I'm done. I'm retired.
When did the Monster Mash come out? That song.
I want to say 50s or late 60s.
1962. Okay, so a few years before this. I just thought it was funny because, like, if you ever listen to Monster Mash, it's very obvious that the guy singing it is just doing a Boris Karloff impression. But I think it's funny that, like, this movie is kind of like, it was clearly meant to, like, almost capitalize on that song, and then they got the actual Boris Karloff for it, so it's kind of cool, I guess.
Well, actually, to go back to the music for 1 second, I said I didn't really feel much towards it. Like, it worked fine. It did sound okay. It wasn't very memorable to me. I did really like in the song between Francesca and Dracula. This is so small, but I did like Dracula's little tap dance solo. I've never really seen tap dancing replicated in animation before, and especially like in stop motion. It was just like kind of neat to see that type of dancing replicated here. Again, it's a really small thing, but I don't know. It was a memorable moment for me.
One more small thing.
Yeah.
So during the sequence where the monsters are trying to kill Felix, and like he's just completely unaware, and they keep failing for like
I love
increasingly
that scene.
like ridiculous reasons. Why the okay, so when the mummy tries to kill him, like he trips over, right? And then when
Yeah.
he sees the mummy, he's like, "Oh no, this guy needs first aid." And then he just ties him to a tree. What is your idea of first aid, my guy? What the fuck?
I don't know.
I think maybe that's supposed to be a sign that he is a robot because he doesn't know what you need to do for first aid.
Perhaps foreshadowing, maybe.
Because, like, if Felix might get injured, he needs to be strapped up to a board and get his parts, like, surgically removed and replaced. Maybe that was foreshadowing. Who knows?
Perhaps a second viewing of Mad Monster Party will shine a light, knowing what we know now.
Maybe.
I don't think there's ever going to be a second viewing of this.
No, I'll
No,
definitely
I
watch
mean-
it again at some point, like on my own.
I feel like this is a movie where like a lot of the smaller things stood out to me. Like again, overall, I think it's a fine movie, but like I think back on a lot of the smaller stuff, like again the tap dancing, just seeing the Invisible Man in stop motion, like Boris Karloff. Like a lot of those smaller things just kind of added up for me, and like overall, again, I liked it. Like not a high endorsement, but it's a neat novelty if you're curious.
I think it's worth a watch. You don't need to go past that, though.
Anyway, want to talk about next week, I guess?
Yeah, it should be your turn.
Sure.
Yes, it is. So, it's the Halloween season. I'm going to recommend a slasher movie. But, I've noticed that we've only talked about 3 slasher movies here before, and 2 of them were Scream movies, and one of them was Black Christmas, which is like a proto-slasher. Did we talk about Psycho, actually?
No,
No.
not the original.
Okay. We talked about a proto-slasher, and we talked about this irreverent send-up to the slasher. So I'm thinking, I think it's time we talk about an actual slasher, just like a regular slasher from the heydays of slashers. But of course, I'm still going to pick something that's got a fun twist to it. So we're going to be picking not just any slasher, but one of the most interesting slasher franchises, in my opinion, and personally, my favorite. we're going to be going into the Chucky franchise and talking about Child's Play, the original, 1988.
Ah.
All right.
You guys only have to watch the first one. Although I do recommend the second one. I like that one quite a bit too, and I might mention it, but strictly the first one. The original trilogy is a bit different from the rest of the movies.
Directed by Tom Holland. Okay. Not that Tom Holland, but a Tom Holland.
Spider-Man is in this movie.
We'll find a connection somehow.
Would you guys consider Exorcist 3 to be a slasher movie?
Not really.
No.
No, all right. I was just looking for a loose ass connection. Chucky is played by Brad Dourif, who's very fun in Exorcist 3. So that's something I guess connects you. It was also in Blue Velvet, so Brad Dourif Christmas. I don't know why I said Christmas. Yeah, Child's Play.
Well, next week will be Child's Play. All right. This has been It's Always Mad in Hollywood. We will see you next time.
You gotta stay one step ahead. Stay one step ahead. Tune in to what's happening, boy, and stay one step ahead.